What's up, Guardians? Welcome back to another Destiny gameplay video. In this video I'm going to be showing you the strategy that we used that was relatively easy once you get the hang of it to bring down the Warpriest in the King's Fall raid of the Taken King. So I'll walk you through our strategy. Just as a heads up, there are definitely spoilers, so if you wanted to figure this out on your own, go ahead and leave now. Now, when you first walk into this room, you'll notice these pillars with runes, a matching pattern on each one. Each pillar has its own different rune marking on the very top. So there's one in the middle, and then one on the right, and one on the left. You see them all clearly there. Now, my post was on the left one. You're going to want to have at least one person on each totem. Now, there are 3 tiers. There's the bottom tier that I'm on now. There's the highest 3rd tier that I'm going up to now. I jump on this pillar and just jump straight up here. And each tier has its own platform to activate the engagement. You can see clearly off to the right. Take note of 2 things here. On the back side of each of these pillars with the totems on it, you'll see a sort of statue mounted on the back that lights up. That's going to be really important. And you can see clearly down on the right, Kalis, a teammate of mine, on the 2nd tier. So each tier has its own little activating tile that you can stand on. So you want to activate each of those to initiate the engagement right off the bat. Now, once you initiate the engagement, it's pretty much all about ad control. We fanned out and we had 2 people in the bottom and then 1 person on the 2nd tier. You see Kalis over there. And then 1 person, myself, up here on this tile. So 1 per tile. And then in these 2 back rooms, you see there's these back rooms back behind the Warpriest. And we've got teammates in there, and that's kind of crucial too. They're doing ad control as well. And their job is going to be really important once these Hallowed Knights come out. So that's eventually, after you eliminate some of the ads, eventually you'll hear like a roar. And it serves as an audio cue to let you know that the knights are up. 3 of them will spawn, and they will go 1 to each tile. So basically, you take down your respective knight, and then it begins the next phase of the fight. So I'm going to finish off my knight here. My teammates do the same, and then you'll see in the lower left it says glyph sequence started. Basically what that means is that you now have to activate these 3 tiles in a specific order in order to then get a buff so that you and your teammates can do damage to the Warpriest. Now, you can see in this bit here, on the back side of that pillar, the statue lights up. So the person who's back in those rooms back behind the Warpriest, they're going to call out which one of them lights up. Now, you can memorize the pattern, but we just found that for safety's sake, we just wanted to have someone call it out, and our teammate would call out who's going where and in what sequence to activate these glyphs. So whatever's easiest for you, we just decided instead of reading runes in an alphabet we don't understand, we'd rather just have someone say where the pretty lights are. And that was a lot easier for us, so that's what we went with. So it's always on the first round. This 3rd tier goes first, and then you see my teammate Kalis over there on the 2nd tier goes 2nd, and then leader of Resolute Clawman activates the final glyph down on the bottom, and whoever activates the last glyph will get this red buff. And now this part is really important, and this will be the deciding factor of whether or not you can take this guy down or just scratch him a little bit before he gets enraged. Now at this point, the person with an aura of the initiate buff, the one that has the red ring around them, they don't want to do DPS on the main boss. What they want to do is they're going to have a countdown, a timer, and I'll show you this on my screen later in the fight. But they're going to have a timer on the lower left, right where you see it says on my screen aura of the initiate. Theirs is going to say something different. And it's going to have a little timer, a 9-second timer. And when that timer hits 0, they're just going to die. They're just going to drop dead. Now the thing is, they can reset that timer, and when they do reset that timer, it's going to give you an additional multiplier for the amount of damage that you can do on the boss. So that multiplier stacks according to the number of times that you reset that timer. I think it's 4 times off the top of my head. But in order to reset that timer, you have to kill an ad. But you don't want to kill that ad early in the timer. You don't want to kill him when you have 9 seconds left. You need to wait until you have 2 or preferably just 1 second left on that timer so that you can maximize your time, because you can only reset it a certain number of times and then you're just going to drop dead. So you want to maximize that amount of time you have. Kill an ad when you're down to 2 or 1 seconds, and everyone else should be doing DPS on the main boss. And you can't do any damage unless you're standing in that red circle with your teammate that has that buff. Now, if they die, they're just going to pass that buff on to someone else. But you don't want that to happen. You just want them to hold that buff the whole time. Everyone stands inside, and we found it was easiest to have someone with a hunter subclass of the Night Stalker to do the Void Bow on the main boss so that you could do additional damage to him as a team. And so we would just juggle supers and make sure that that super was always active so that we were doing additional damage. Now, once that buff ends and you can no longer do damage on the main boss, a little message is going to pop up in the lower left, and it's going to tell you that the Warpriest calls upon the Oculus. Now, the Oculus is just going to insta-kill you. It's kind of like the Oversoul. It's that big black orb. And basically, in order to survive it, you have to stand behind the pillar that you're fighting from behind. Now, this is going to change in every stage of the engagement. For this first stage, it's going to be here on the bottom. He's going to destroy this middle pillar with the Oculus, and the only way to survive it, you can see I'm standing in the shadow of the pillar. Now, if you're standing in the shadow where the light isn't touching, then you'll survive. This pillar will disintegrate, and then you'll move on to the next stage of the engagement. I'm just going to go back up to my spot because you need to have someone on each glyph yet again. And you're basically going to rinse and repeat what you did on the first stage. You're going to clear ads, and then eventually after you clear some ads, you're going to get some Hallowed Knights that are going to come up. You'll hear a roar as an audio cue, and then they'll come out to engage you at the glyphs. So you see here, just rinsing and repeating, clearing out some of the ads here, and then you'll see after we get these ads clear. Just a side note, if you see an acolyte that's labeled adept, kill him last. If you kill him before the other acolytes, then he's going to buff the other acolytes with like this laser beam eye attack. So kill the adept one last. Now you see here the Hallowed Knight comes up to challenge me. There's going to be one at every glyph, just like normal. Once you kill all 3 of them, the person is going to see the lights on the backs of the pillars, call out the sequence, and you're going to step on the glyphs one at a time in the sequence that the lights light up. Now remember, the middle pillar got destroyed in the previous engagement by the Oculus, so instead of having the pillar light up, this light will just appear where the pillar used to be, and that's your visual cue. Now, you're going to want to step into the ring with your teammates to do DPS, but remember the person who got the ring around them is going to be doing ad control, waiting until that timer gets down to 2 or 1 seconds to kill an ad to keep themselves alive and to give your teammates a bit of a damage buff against the Warpriest. And now notice that we came up to the second tier, and this is where we want to stay for the second engagement, this whole second engagement, because the pillar that we have to stand behind is now this second one instead of the first one on the bottom ground level. So we need to stand behind this one to survive the Oculus this time. So we're doing as much DPS as possible. You'll see juggling some Void Bows on him to keep the damage multipliers up. And then now he calls on the Oculus. We stand in the shade of this pillar. The Oculus destroys the pillar, and we remain unscathed from it. It's kind of cool in the background. After the Oculus does its thing, you'll see a giant face of Oryx kind of pass in front of the screen. Now, this is where things change up a little bit. I'm going to go back up to my post. A little sluggishly in this footage, but I'm going to go back up to my post, and now we're going to start engaging Taken instead of just regular Hive. So here we are in the final stages of the encounter. This can be the last time that you engage him, but if you don't do enough DPS, you can still engage him one more time if you hurry before he gets enraged. So here again, we're on ad duty. So we just start killing ads. You want to kill them as quickly as possible in order to avoid the enrage timer kicking off. We did find that it is on a timer. It's not just DPS related on the boss. It is on a timer, at least from our experimentation. Now, instead of Hallowed Knights, you're going to have these fallen tortured knights that are going to spawn instead. So I was actually under-leveled for the raid. I was holding my own, but against this guy I was kind of hurting because I was only 284 light level. So at this point, instead of taking a death, I just hopped down because I didn't want to have to give my teammates a 30-second timer to wait on me. And then once I get some help, I'm going to jump right back up. And this is where we want to engage him from. We did the bottom tier first, second tier second, and now we're up on the third tier for the third engagement. Now these are going to light up in the order that we need to activate them. Bottom first, then the second tier, third tier to last. Now I'm the one who's carrying the buff. So now you can see what it looks like from the perspective of the person who has the buff. Now see, it restarted the timer there, and now we've got a ×4 damage buff. And then I'm going to wait till the timer gets down at 1 second, and then I go ahead and kill another ad right at the last second to reset that timer to 9 seconds. And I basically just keep waiting until the final seconds to try and get a kill, as my teammates are just focusing on doing DPS on the main boss. Now, eventually the timer's going to run out. He's going to initiate the Oculus if you don't kill him. You can kill him here in this engagement, but if you look at his health, he barely has any left, and we just barely missed it. So we take cover behind the pillar in the shade, just like normal, just like in the previous engagements. And now we're fighting against the clock because he's about to get enraged. So now if he's not dead at this point, you can't survive another Oculus. So basically you just want to kill ads as quickly as humanly possible with your team. Just push as hard as you can to kill these ads. So we're pushing ads as hard as we can. We're basically waiting for those knights to spawn again, the tortured knights of the taken type. And you can see a big rift forms here. Knight comes through, we kill him as quickly as we can, and then I know there's 2 more, so we're just going to focus on team firing the other 2 until they're down. I know there's 1 on the bottom tier and then 1 on the second tier, just like in previous engagements. Once we get these 3 knights down, it's back to grouping up on, you can basically see the lights now, so you don't have to have someone behind calling out the order. You see the lights, you activate the glyphs in that order. And then now we all join on the last person who gets the buff, and then we do DPS, finish him off before he gets enraged, and we are easy peasy lemon squeezy done with the engagement. So that's your basic guide. Don't get thrown off here. I got an exotic engram. That's not normal. That's just because I had popped that buff from Zur, the 3 coins buff. And then also he dropped an antiquated rune, so you can get runes to drop here and lots of engrams. So this is actually a great place to farm engrams and runes as well, if you're good at the raid. So hope this has been helpful, guys. I'll go ahead and put out more tutorial videos for the different parts of the raid, and hopefully you can find your way through it and enjoy the experience as much as we did. Thanks, guys.